Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Innovation Obsessed, where we tell the stories of innovation heroes making the world a safer, better place. We're excited to bring you part two of our special crossover series with the Secured podcast. This time, security experts Mike Matranga and Mike Monsive are back, sharing their experience protecting large scale facilities. They highlight how a facility perimeter isn't just a boundary. It's the first line of defense against potential threats. One story that stands out involves how quick action in a high school parking lot prevented a full-scale lockdown, avoiding delays in learning and the disruptions that come with it. Packed with practical insights and success stories, this episode is a must listen. Let's get started.
I'm curious to see how this evolves, within our American society or just worldly. But it's just getting better. A lot of it's self-learning.
Yeah.
And it's just getting better and better and better. I mean, I'm sure today that Usto, Anyvision, is much better today than it was in 2018. I can't imagine it being better.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
I tell you, the most effective tool I've ever used. People, if you're going to spend your additional funds on something, don't buy silent panic alarms. Use that additional money for proactive software on your cameras to identify people of concern. And I know some people will say, well, we could use it to identify weapons. Yeah, you could, but usually the same people that are going to be brandishing those weapons are the ones you already know about. So,
well, one of the things that and it's AI that's doing it, right? Yeah. It's being able to detect a person or vehicle. When we talk about these mega campuses, like we've been to a couple of campuses here that million
massive,
square feet,
yeah.
Right? Type of campuses.
6 hours to walk. Ridiculous.
Just massive facilities.
Yeah.
And that campus has no idea what's going on the perimeter of their building.
No way,
right?
Man.
And so much so that we've seen some of these campuses that have dedicated video operators in the school that are just watching cameras. And so it's a necessity, right? But if you use the right cameras that have the technology and they're properly placed, you can now turn around and have it detect a person or a vehicle
or
on
a
the
weapon.
perimeter or a weapon, right? And so at that point, why is this vehicle driving through our parking lot like this? Why did this vehicle just stop and pull?
More importantly,
up here, right?
Why do you have a person sitting and watching cameras when the AI will do the work of that person?
So what I'm saying is now you set up those zones, you set up the schedules, and when you have something happening on the perimeter of your building, at this point the system is telling you, hey, we just had this vehicle act suspicious. It just parked here. We have a person loitering in our parking lot. We have someone approaching the rear cafeteria door. What's going on? And so instead of trying to watch in a 1 million square foot building, you can guess that there's quite a few cameras there. It's impossible for a human to look at all these. This is where you take technology and it's telling you something's wrong instead of you missing it on some little square on your screen. And it's really where the rubber meets the road, right? We have another customer, multi-million square foot facility. It is impossible for the guards there to detect something that goes on. You deploy the technology, you set up the rules, all of a sudden now they're being alerted, this is what's going on.
That same customer, our team did a red team exercise where we did 12 attempts to breach, and we got in all 12 times. We were 100% effective. What Mike's saying is that the technology that we're deploying there would now detect our unusual behavior of meandering around
trying
in these areas.
Get in.
These areas that we're not supposed to be. And so, you have to think about this technology as working for you, right? Proactively, being the eyes and the ears that you can't afford, or you can afford, but you're not getting quality, observation from those individuals.
This technology doesn't sleep.
No,
right?
it never sleeps. It doesn't get tired.
It is there.
So if you're going to spend your money on something, I'd rather you spend your money on this rather than some crap, silent panic alarm that's going to do nothing.
With this technology, right, this learning, it's more than detecting a person or vehicle. Now we can do appearance searches, right?
Yeah.
So Now we can turn around and
White
say,
shirt.
I'm looking for white shirt and blue jeans. Show me all the images of this. And as you select that individual in the software, it's now going to show you more of that individual to the point that you can literally see every single solitary camera of where this person went in a timeline. And go back to, okay, well, here's where they got out of their car. Here's where they went past this camera.
Here's where they
went
dropped the bag.
Here's where they in there.
They
and go
interacted
through the
with
whole
this
entire
person.
facility.
Yeah.
When you see it in action, there is no substitution, right? And especially when you're talking about a really large facility, a big high school. Where is this individual at now? We saw that they came in, they went in this door, we got an alert. They're in the school. Where are they now? Right? Being able to identify exactly where the last person that he appeared on camera, and being able to send your resources there, than playing a scavenger hunt.
I can't tell you. How many times we did that. The one case that I always talk about is a kid. There was one kid that I genuinely worried about. Kid was a known gang member, known to be extremely aggressive. Unfortunately, his father died at a young age. His father was a police officer, died in an ATV accident. He comes home his junior year or senior year, had an older brother that graduated the year before, finds his older brother that committed suicide. 3 months later, we get an anonymous report, kids playing Russian roulette with a .357 Magnum. I didn't even follow protocol. I immediately called dispatch and said, go to this address, this is what I've got, here's the video, kids playing Russian roulette. Don't know if he's going to be alive when you get there. Just giving you a heads up what you're walking into. They fortunately were able to stop him. But then, 6 months later, same kid who's got aggravated sexual assault charges on him, hadn't been to school in weeks. We know that the victims are kids, they're our students, and some of their family members. We know what his capabilities are. We know his historical past of this particular type of aggressive behavior. We put him in the system. He doesn't show up to school for 2 weeks, but when he does, boom, he gets out of the car. Our camera picks up on him, sends a message to me, our entire SRO team, our administrators on that campus. Yep, that's him. He never gets to the threshold of the school. Never gets there. They meet him outside and take him into custody on the felony warrants. Crisis averted. So why everyone's...
You didn't interrupt
the educational...
But not one bit.
Nothing. Didn't interrupt the school. No one knew it happened.
Didn't go into lockdown. All of it was averted. And the people want to think that they have plans in place, right? And we can talk about the gap, right? We talk about the gap in time between a crisis actually happening and the time that someone actually gets there to establish command. That's the gap. Who's in charge? Because most of these school districts and most of these people think that, okay, I am the director of security, I have the title, I'm the one that's in charge. In theory, in reality, you can account for the gap. The gap time of the time that it happens, the time you can actually get there, if you're not already there. Someone on that campus needs to have the tools that they need to have to do the job effectively, to thwart these things. Someone needs to know the plan. More than someone, multiple people need to know the plan. I had someone argue with me that they were going to be the incident commander, and even though they weren't on those campuses, they had to respond to those campuses. I said, well, who's the incident commander? Well, the principal or vice principal. How often are they outside of the school? Often. Okay, well, if they're not there, who's in charge? Me. No, you're not. Someone else is. Well, I was just with a school, and one of the things that came up was tabletop exercises, and I specifically asked, and we asked, do they ever use ingest technology into this, right? And it was a no, they didn't. And then the next question was not surprising to you, but who's involved in your tabletop exercise? Well, it was their director and all of the law enforcement agencies. Do you involve the principals, the APs, anything at the school level? No.
Nope.
Why not? what happens before you get there, right?
Yeah.
The incidents happen. You guys are all talking
Yeah.
post-event. What about all of that time in between?
Yeah.
Never even brought into the equation. And more importantly, the principals and the APs don't even know what's happening afterwards because they're not part of the situation at all.
You have to have all those stakeholders engaged, and that's where one of the biggest discrepancies I see, and one of the biggest vulnerabilities I see in most plans is that, you know, these directors of security have these good ideas, but they're not engaging the people that are going to fill that gap time. You know, at the end of the day, your title tells you you're in charge. But the reality is that you're going to have to relinquish some of those duties and some of those responsibilities. And I know it's hard for people to accept, but that's the truth.
Yep.
Right? And the unfortunate thing is that most school educators are not warriors. They don't have a warrior mindset. Now, can that be taught? Yes, but we completely, overstep that and don't focus on preparing those people properly because we've got a silent panic alarm, or we've got X, Y, and Z, And then they get their feelings hurt when we go, hey, this is a vulnerability. This is a gap, right? This is an issue that you need to address. You have to empower these people. You're not going to be there. Yes, I am.
You and I were at a school not too long ago, and there was a medical emergency while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched the local emergency responders try to figure out how to get in to the facility.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
To the point that one of our team members was walking into the appointment that we were in, and they stopped him in the parking lot and asked,
how do we get inside?
How do we get inside?
Yeah. We're trying to breach the campus. EMS shows up for a medical emergency. They don't know how to get inside, you know?
And our team ultimately could let them in because we all got in.
We all got in, yeah.
So, it's one of those things about having the plans to do it. And that's really where your expertise comes in and getting those EAPs in there. And it could be something as simple as there's a medical emergency in the building. And not all AI is bad as it relates to security technology.